Oh, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. I'm gonna call this one Yourself. It's gonna be somewhat of a personal reading, some advice for you, kind of, hopefully on a personal level. That's what I'm putting the vibration out for. Um, Before I get into the reading, I do have a little introduction. I was thinking to myself today about certain words, and I realized that a way to actually help the vibration of this current planet. I think words have an important role in that. Now, I'm not the first person to say this. There's many smarter people, more poetic people than me out there, and even more before me who've come before me. But I did realize something in a different way today, and I hope it kind of helps you, whoever's listening out there. Um, the thought process I had was that, um, as we all know, at least in the English dictionary, there's a whole abundance of words with all these different meanings, some of which we know, and some of which we haven't even discovered yet, we haven't even looked at yet, or come to understand. But on a very rare occasion, I find that there's a certain act or feeling or even description, uh, action, if I didn't say that, that I observe in this 3D reality. And I can't actually find a word or even a terminology sometimes to express that. Um, I'm kind of coining a word, and I'm going to put it on my If You Pause Instagram actually. I'm going to start coining certain terms or words. And why I'm doing this is because it's not actually from a place of ego, it's from a place of actually, like I said, observing certain things and not actually having the words to express what I'm talking about. But it gets better than that, because what I realized is that this 3D reality, it has certain traps. I don't even know if it's purposefully or if it's just the beauty of human nature, but there's certain traps where, like, there's actually not a certain word for that. And then sometimes what happens is, like, sometimes people prefer the lie because it's just easier, you know? So, I'll give you like a really small example. You know, when someone's trying to be nice and then they're not nice, but they're trying to give the impression that they're nice. And you look at that person and go, that person's just a liar. Like, we need more words that express what that person's actually doing. Now, we might say, oh, that person's just manipulative or a bit sly or foxy. But there could be actually a word that expresses when a person is trying to come across nice and we know that they're not. And I know there might be a dictionary definition word out there for that. I haven't actually looked. There probably is. But even still, even if there is a word, there could be even a few words that express that in different ways. And as I hope that you're kind of uh, thinking or discovering through me saying that, is that that actually higher the vibration, because we're now coming up with terms and words which call out the fuckery that goes on in this 3D reality. There's not enough words that kind of call out fuckery, is what I'm trying to say. Um, like, if, for example, and that holds power, because let's say, for example, politicians. Let's say if we had a word for that and a clear word for that. Can you imagine the absolute power of a president going to speak and then the whole crowd saying that word? it don't hit the same as even someone saying, "Hey, you're an asshole." It don't hit well because an asshole can mean anything, but when you're actually able to define a word for the exact thing that that person's doing, you catch them with their trousers down. So I know what I'm talking about here might go over some people's head. I think, not to blow my own trumpet, but you do need to be like somewhat like intellectually up there to even give time to what I'm talking about. So one of the terms that I'm coining at the moment is called selfish radiance. And I tried to think of a different word completely, but I found that actually just stringing these two words together explains it best. Now, I don't have like a definition for the Oxford Dictionary yet, but what I do have is like a small sentence or two to kind of point people in the right direction of what I'm trying to get at here. And I'll explain it better in this video. So keep an eye out for it on the If You Pause Instagram. So selfish radiance, I've actually got a little note here of what I've taken down. This might change, but what I've written is, and bear with me because I am reading now. I've written, selfish radiance is an act often disguised as protectiveness, but serves to benefit oneself. Selfish radiance can often be observed in parenting, pet owners, and business owners. So, like, why I took it upon myself to, like, create this term, or word, it's not really creating a word, but this term, is because when people think of the word selfish, we're often thinking about an act which is just to serve oneself, an individual, without any other parties involved. It's the person who sees the cake for everyone and then takes the whole cake and scoffs it in the next room by themselves. But what I'm trying to put attention to is that same act is done day in and day out, but it's seen as acceptable when the same person steals the cake, but they bring it back to their family, right? So their family is waiting in the other room. And someone might now start deeming that as, well, that person was just fending for their family. That act, which is selfish, now changes because they're now looking after their family. When in fact, that act is still selfish. But if you look at the dictionary definition of selfish, I don't know what it says exactly, but it's going to tell you something along the lines of selfishness is to do when you don't consider other people. So the fact that this person steals the cake for his family is no longer selfish because he's considering or she's considering other people, but it's actually still selfish. Now, it goes one step further because I use some examples there like parenting, I think pet owner and business owner. And why I kind of mention those, maybe I won't go through all of them in this video, but let's take a business owner because I don't want to traumatize anyone with pet owners and parenting, but you can probably see where I'm going. Sometimes like protectiveness is used as an excuse to be selfish. So it's probably even best explained with a business owner, right? And for everyone who's listening, I'm a business owner. So it does take great courage for me to express my own fuckery and the fuckery that I see in the business world, right? To even admit to these things. And You will know that you're on the right path if you can listen to my examples on parenting and pet owners too, and not let your ego be affected because it's just some form of truth, right? So, business owners, often we are extremely protective over our staff. You might, I'm trying to not use people's names anymore. I was about to give you a juicy, ripe example of how this looks in business, but I'm trying to keep off names now. So I'm just going to say, um, think of the CEO, or the founder, I should say, who builds a company, really looks after his staff or her staff. Now, I'm not saying that this person doesn't care about their staff. Like we often do, they often become some family. But at the end of the day, the person is protective of their staff because it's for the best interest of their business. Do you see how I'm using the word selfish radiance? Because selfish radiance encompasses other people in your selfishness, in one's selfishness. It's the same for parenting, you know, especially when a parent has a child or a baby. Not necessarily when that child is grown up and turns into a teenager and plus, but I can even relate to this as being an uncle. Like when I'm carrying my little niece or my little nephews when they were even smaller, there's a part which is, yeah, it's seen as protective, but it's also very selfish. It's very selfish in terms of this is my nephew, this is my niece. You can even tell by the clues of how we say things. My niece, my nephew. When actually that child is their own child, but that protectiveness, or what we disguise as protectiveness, is actually sprinkled with this thing that I'm coining selfish radiance. Now, don't get me wrong, there is such thing as protectiveness too, right? So I'm not trying to say that the word protective is no longer necessary and it's always selfish radiance. For example, it's the good example of if someone busts into the house, um, I'm going to protect my family. It just is what it is. I'm protecting my family there. There's not much selfish radiance involved because it's almost instinctual. It's almost danger, and I'm solving that danger by solving it in whatever way I need to. That's different. But, there's also the selfish radiance again where, you're walking down the street and you're really not looking at the other person and where they need to go on the pavement because you're worried about your little niece or your little baby being safe. You see it often when a parent gets onto a train and they expect the crowd to part like Moses parts the river. Like they couldn't give a shit about how much space someone else needs because they've got their child. It's selfish radiance. Do you understand? And it's disguised as protectiveness. There's sometimes even no threat there to be calling it protectiveness. It's just selfish radiance. It's the ability to see that there's no actual danger at hand, and you're going into the mindset of, I just think I want things my way due to the circumstance that I'm in. It's selfish. So the same idea obviously goes to pets as well. Most of these damn pets can protect their damn self. Do you know what I mean? Unless if you've got a little poodle and Jimmy down the road has got a fucking bulldog. Most of the time, the dog can actually protect itself to an extent from other people. There's no need to have like king and queen syndrome when you're walking your dog, but some people do, right? They even let their dog shit on the street. It's selfish radiance. It's a radiance of their own selfishness projected into their dog. Um, so this is like, I'm not saying that I've completely mastered this idea or terminology, but I hope that some of you can try and run with it a little bit and see where I'm going with this. It's an interesting topic, and I just thought I would share it with you. Selfish radiance. Um, yeah, it's just something that I'm trying to do more of. It's using words to pull up the fuckery of our current vibration in humanity. And, you know, God willing, I'm going to find some words focused around positivity and love as well. But for now, I just thought selfish radiance was a good one to start with. So, introduction out of the way. If you're still here, if you're not bored to death, I hope you enjoyed that. Keep a lookout for selfish radiance yourself. You might peep game, you might see it and go, oh damn, that's what Zed's on about. He's got a point there. It's like when someone's being selfish, but there's the excuse of others, or like I said, the pet is a little bit different. It's another animal, but it kind of disguises selfishness. But because there's another person involved, it's disguised really well, but it's still selfishness. And the key to see selfish radiance is it's usually it usually goes back to that one person just really caring about themselves, but it's disguised as caring for others, you know? Selfish radiance. So, as always, we've got pole number 1, pole number 2, and pole number 3. And, you know, again, like, I think really to heighten this vibration of humanity, to really take us into this new earth and stuff, I think we need to have some accountability. And there's even a slight bit of selfish radiance here on this channel, isn't there? Like, because there's me doing this and I'm serving you guys. I am genuinely trying to help you, but I'm obviously trying to put my brand out there. I'm not even sure if I'm trying to turn this into a business, if I'm absolutely honest, but there is something in it which is self-serving. So there's selfish radiance involved in even this channel here. But, you know, it's like, where can you unpick that in yourself? Pole 1s, pole 2s, and pole 3s. Like, can you put your hand up and say that about yourself, that you encompass this? And I know that even almost selfish radiance, it feels like it was directed more at the masculine energy, but it's the same for feminine energy too, you know? It's still the mother walking the pram. It's still the female CEO. You know, you could even relate selfish radiance to relationships, you know, like where it's seen as we want the best for the other person, but we actually are trying to create a better lifestyle for ourselves, you know. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you know, I lap these pills up. These hard pills to swallow, I lap them up because I know that they make me like wiser, smarter, and stronger. So a little bit of bedtime work for you. Pole 1, 2, and 3 is where you embracing selfish radiance. I'll start with pole number 1s. This is a reading. It's not going to be so dark or deep. Just like a message from spirit on yourself. What do you see? What do you feel? I feel automatically, pile number ones, I feel like you kind of are givers. You either really relate to that or like not, maybe. That's how you know you're on the right pile. I get a genuine energy here of people who give. If you haven't checked out the introduction, I recommend that you do. And, you know, to an extent, I definitely see myself as someone who likes to give. Definitely someone who likes to provide. I feel like that's just in me. But, you know, we're talking more on that feminine energy here, like almost a nurturer. I'll probably say I've got some of that in me too, but for anyone who did kind of listen to the introduction, I kind of just want to sprinkle the seasoning or the salt, which is like everyone's kind of made up of these different percentages, right? So I think when I'm talking about this whole concept of selfish radiance, it's not to say that people are 90% of that. Humanity is 90% radiating this selfishness, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we've all got different amounts of sprinkling of this. You know, it doesn't mean that we're not full of love. It doesn't mean that we're not full of empathy, selflessness, selflessness. I think that's the opposite of selfish. I'm not saying that we don't have larger percentages even of that. It's just, you know, sometimes you meet people and you shine a little bit of light on their darkness and they literally turn into vampires. You know, like vampires seeing the daylight. It's like just the truth burns too much. And I just wanted to emphasize here for my pal ones, I'm not here on a high horse trying to tell everyone where they're wrong and I'm right. I'm trying to say that this is in me too, but I just believe that it's pretty much in everyone. It's just a tough pill to swallow. So pile number one's like the good news is I'm getting generally really like genuine vibes from this pile. And something that's beautiful about it is because they're feeding these birds. And the cool thing about this scene to me is that birds aren't really able to say thank you verbally. So often when you see people helping people who can't even say thank you, I've found that that's a genuine sign of really caring or having that nurturing or kind nature. Because it's just another trap in this matrix is that a lot of people actually give and be nice to people purely for the give back, for the thank you. And you can often tell the people who are genuinely doing things by when they're still doing it and there's no kind of direct thank you. For anyone who's watched this channel, you know, like it's been a slow burner to get it warmed up. And as you can probably see, it's like there ain't much thank yous in these videos either. But, you know, like it's in my core though. You know, I can't, like when my intuition is showing me the direction, when my heart is in that place, in that loving place of sharing something I want to share, it just is what it is. You know, it just is what it is. And I feel like this person here who's feeding the birds, it's that same kind of feeling. It's not, they're not looking around them to check that their neighbors are watching, that they're feeding these birds. They're feeding the damn birds because they want to feed the damn birds. You know what I'm saying? It's in their heart, it's in their being. Do you know what? Like pound number ones as well. Just to remind you of something. Some people don't actually get this. That's what I've come to realize as well. Some people don't actually get this. They just don't have it in them. They don't have it in them. So just remember that feeling that you do have. Um, Cherish it, because some people, like I don't know, maybe some people do have it. Like I said, it's just a small percentage. But I've just met enough people in my life that are so detached from this energy. It almost sounds stupid for them to feed some birds. You know, that's a stupid idea. Some people generally are detached from that type of love vibration. So when you are in that zone, pole number ones, just remember to cherish it. It's a gift. It's a beautiful thing. And got some confirmation there from the dog outside. Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. I think I'm going to leave it there, pile number ones, because I think everything's been said that needs to be said. So keep shining, keep sharing, um, keep giving. Remember to give to yourself as well. But yeah, keep doing your thing. Take care. All right, pile number twos. A message about yourself. God damn, I think you might be damn psychic. Seeing some Professor X stuff going on. Yeah, quite an easy read. It's not something that you're relating to. Pile number twos. Message about yourself. So it's like, there was something else that was coming through here, almost like a two-part reading. I was getting the image of like a jug, and a jug. I guess this is touching on the Aquarius energy actually, because they're seen as like the water bearer, I think. I was seeing a jug, and I'm not even sure if it was filled with liquid, but I was seeing this jug being poured into the head of this person. So, you know, like, I know it's a weird analogy. It's almost like, without being, because it wasn't a gross image, but it was almost like taking off the top of someone's head and then pouring this elixir of life into the brain of this person. So I'm not sure if you're like some form of like, it could be a channeler, it could just be that. But I feel like almost someone who can, there's something to do with like almost the mind, like, you know what's quite interesting as well? It's like I was thinking psychic abilities, and in the movies where you see like mutants and stuff like that, the TV shows like the superhero shows and stuff, the psychics usually use their mind. And it's funny because like when you think about true psychic abilities, you might disagree with me on this, pile number two is, but it's almost like when you do tap into that energy, I almost feel like it's to do with all of the like chakras, all of those energy points kind of aligning. It's like someone who's got their third eye chakra really on point, but then the other chakras are just all fucked up. In my opinion, they're not very psychic, because it's like putting like dirty water into a clean jug, you know. So I think in reality, like that psychic ability is to do a lot more with like all your energy points, all your energy chakras. I know it's probably easier to visualize it from the mind, because almost that's where it's maybe released, or what's the word, like projected. But I don't know, for anyone who does consider themselves psychic who's watching this, you'll kind of know what I mean. It's like you got to have all the parts working in the car to drive, otherwise, you know, you've got issues on your hand. Yeah, so part number two is I feel like your message about yourself is the psychic ability. That just might be something which you've never really considered in yourself. I feel like this is touching on the masculine energy, so it might be a lot of males tuning into this reading, and you might be maybe shunning that side away, but you might actually just be psychic. Might be something that you want to dive into more. I guess this person is also like focusing as well, so you might be quite good at focusing. Pile number twos. If the psychic stuff wasn't hitting the spot, it might be that you're quite good at focusing. You might want to give yourself a pat on the back for that. Might be good focusers. So yeah, pile number two is quite a quick reading. I hope you enjoyed it though. If you did, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Okay, pile number threes. Ain't you all getting over the place now? What do you see? What do you feel? Pile number 3's. Let's change up the pens. If you're balling out here, donate to my page for some new pens. And yes, I can afford my own pens, but you know, it's just a nice gesture, pile 3's. Show me you care about these damn readings, goddammit. And yes, I do say that with a smile on my face. Okay, my whole thing, didn't it? God damn. Maybe the hair's important here. Spent way too much time on that, but it seemed to be somewhat important. I don't think I've ever drawn hair so damn long in the reading. Might have got the award for that. My geezers out there might have long hair, and obviously feminines, there's more on the feminine side, this reading, obviously. Put some baby hairs back there. It doesn't really matter gender-wise here, because I think the message is the same. There's one thing that I'll maybe clarify, because to me it does look a little bit like this person is putting their head in their hands, like they're about to maybe cry. Or it's almost the positioning of, you know, when you wake up in the morning and wash your face. I don't think it was that. It might be. So it might be something to do with like something about yourself. You're good at waking yourself up, you know, like it's the splash of water over the face. Maybe to consciousness, to being aware. But really, I think this was about prayer more than what I just said. This was, to me, the energy of prayer. Someone who is able to, you know, I'm almost getting in the face of chaos, able to find a quiet moment to themselves and pray, or at least connect with God, like however that looks or is to you. Being able to kind of just sit and focus and have some time with God, Spirit, the universe. I think, you know, the flowing hair is not a coincidence. I think this is almost representing your soul. So remember, like, this goes for masculine and feminine energy. There's possibly even something like to touch on that masculine energy a little bit more. I think in order to pray and connect with God, at least in the right way, whatever's right to you, you need some form of discipline. And I'd probably say discipline is, I wouldn't probably say, I think discipline is a masculine trait. So you might encompass that, you know, although the energy of this character seems somewhat soft and flowing, there's a discipline here. You could almost connect it with like the nun and the priest. Like they're speakers of love and of God. But if you look at the routine, it's like the monk as well, right? The monks aren't lazy people. They've got strict routines. They're disciplined people. So there's something about that in your energy pile threes. You might even want to look at like, I don't know, I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but like nun and priests nowadays, they're not really seen as cool. And even monks, there was a phase where monks were kind of a little bit in, to go to like a Buddhist temple, and play around with the incense for Instagram. That was almost kind of like a thing at a point. But like in terms of being cool and current, it might be something for you to think about. Pile number 3 is like, what does that look like now? What does that craft, that discipline look like nowadays? What's that look like in 2024? How could you possibly even give to that as a discipline? How could you in many ways like make that a bit cooler than how it is? And again, it's no disrespect to the way that it's being done and what it stands for, because like I just don't even have enough information to even speak on those kind of things, because I'm not well read enough or well experienced enough. But it doesn't mean that we can't take inspiration from it or put our own flavor to things, because some of these things are outrightly kind of dying, aren't they? I think it's the sign of the times as well. I think people are a little bit too excited that Christianity is going down the pan. I think people are a little bit too excited that just I could go on, but I think sometimes when we see things die out and other things come into place, there's definitely a good thing about that. Done with the old and in with the new. Like, I'm a fan of that. But sometimes it also represents a dying of something that we needed or something that was useful. Like, even when you think about our super ancestors, no matter what culture you're from, we can all agree that once upon a time our ancestors had much more respect for nature, the environment. I think that's just a fact, right? So it's like, yeah, we gained some things in return of that. Different inventions and, easier ways of living, essentially. But we lost something very fundamental. We make these attempts to try and scrape it back, but, it kind of got lost, if we're completely honest about it. Kind of got lost, didn't it? Like, we're trying to scrape it back, but it's like when you kind of cut yourself, not even when you cut yourself, but when you distance yourself so much from the essence of God, it obviously becomes harder to come back. It's a little bit like going off into space without a tracking device to take you back home. Spirit was just giving me like bingo. Like, that's exactly it. Like if you've been here for a while, Spirit gives me the ding 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 ding, and that was it. Like, sometimes when you go off on that adventure, off into space, and you see in home get smaller and smaller, but it's just too fun discovering that other planet. And you know you ain't got no tracking device to navigate back home. But the excitement of that new planet that you might discover is just too tempting. It's pretty much like the devil's grasp, the devil's energy, isn't it? Or the ego. You know, and it's like, damn, like there's so many beautiful analogies that come off this pole number three. It's like the way to probably do that, if you know that you don't have a tracking device to get back home, would be like to take it in increments. So it would be like to go so far, but then come back and draw a map, to venture back out, draw, go so far, a bit further, but then come back and draw a map. Do you understand? It's like that would be the way to do it, but that is tedious and that is a lot of patience. And we don't want to do that as humans, you know? Sometimes that new planet is money that we're trying to get to. Sometimes it's a partner or a relationship. Sometimes it's, what's it called, like a vice, just a temptation, isn't it? It's like it could be anything. Could be that new, that home or that holiday, that pleasure seeking. But anyways, a beautiful analogy. Thanks, Spirit, for that. Pole number three is, just to summarize again, I think you're probably hearing that analogy and you're like, okay, I'm about that. I'm gonna take that patient path. Like, I got what I needed from this reading. I'm gonna be that person who comes back home to God and or the universe or spirit, and adds to the map that I'm making, opposed to being the person who's recklessly traveling out and then complains when they get lost. So, pile number three is, I hope you enjoyed the reading. If you did, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next reading. Take care.